One of the really frustrating things about camping is having a whole lot of partially empty canisters rolling around in your backpack. You're really not too sure how much gas you've got in this before the flame runs out. Let me show you a cost-effective way of just taking one full can with you by a simple little thing called a FlipFuel. Now what I'm going to cover today is how to fill from a screw canister to another screw canister, but I'm also going to show you how to utilize the 220 gram bayonet cans, which is way cheaper in gas per 100 grams than it is, say, to use the little 100 gram canister. And I'm going to show you how to do that by using this little device which connects onto the bayonet and into the screw. When I go camping, I tend to like going with the Trangia. I'm a Trangia man. You need to take a little methylated spirits fuel container, but we're not going to be talking about that today. I have many camping stove setups. This is my ultralight, where I can literally have a 100 gram can sitting inside of that with my little BRS stove and all my bits and pieces all inside that, and that's very compact. But sometimes if I've got other people with me, I'm going on a multi-day, I might decide to take this classic aluminium pot container, which takes a 230 gram container. Now this is probably where most people start off, and there is just absolutely nothing wrong with this. In fact, I used this recently on a trip. Or you could be a little bit more advanced and you're going to, once again, the 100 gram gas canister, but in my case I'm using a small micro-mo. Let's crack on and just show you how to do this. So what we've got here is 4 different canisters. We have the 100 gram, we have the 230 gram, the 450 gram, the 220 gram bayonet. So I'm going to show you how to utilize all of these, because it could be that you're using any one of a combination of these stoves or these gas canisters. Well, first up, we're going to talk about filling up this 100 gram canister. Now to purchase one of these full costs somewhere around about $8 to $12. It's a lot more cost effective to fill it up from a larger screw can or the bayonet, so we'll talk about that soon. How do we fill this up? So this is going to end up being the receiving canister, and we want that canister to be cold, so let's simulate that going into a refrigerator. We want this to be giving out the gas, so this needs the gas to be expanded, which is why you would put that in hot water. And we're now just going to use the FlipFuel, which has a in and an out. You want the receiving canister to preferably be on the bottom. So that's going to come on in. And you want the giving canister to be on the top. I mean, who doesn't like being on top? And then it's just a simple case of just turning the little valve. And you can hear it. Can you hear that gas? We'll keep moving the gas from the top down to the bottom until we can't hear that sound any longer. Now it would probably pay to have an open window. Otherwise I might start sounding a bit funny. Okay, so that's stopped. So I'm going to turn off the valve. I'm going to put that canister once again back into the hot water. And I'm going to put the receiving canister back into ice or into the refrigerator. And I'll keep on doing that until I can fill that 100 gram gas canister up. Obviously you're buying 100 grams, that's why they sell it per 100. If this is full, it should sit up around about 200 grams. And we're bang on 208. You're not really meant to refill these up more than around about 80%. It's currently sitting at 208 grams, so that's just a little bit over 100% full. So when a canister's full, I put the little cap on, and hey, that's 2 of those canisters done and dusted for my next trip. If I was using a 450 gram canister filling up a 230, the principle is identical. But now I've got this, well, let's see how much we've got. Empty, a 230 gram canister is approximately 150 grams. I'm sitting at around about 190, so this is almost empty. I want to fill this up now, but I want to fill it up with the most cost-effective gas we can buy. And that, of course, is using the 220 gram bayonet. But we're going to need a special device for that. And that's this bayonet-to-screw adapter. So this just clips on here. That screws. Now, of course, this is the giving canister, so we want the gas to be expanding. So we'll put that in the hot water. Can you hear the gas expanding? This is the receiving canister. So we're going to put that on ice. So what that's going to do is it's going to cause the gas to actually more liquefied and go to the bottom. Once again, that's why it sits on the bottom. We want the inside of this valve on the receiving canister. But now we've got a bayonet to a screw on the giving side, which sits on the top. This is the first time I've ever done this, by the way. So let's just turn it on. So what's happening is the 220 gram bayonet canister is now filling up the 230 gram screw canister. Now, if you want to know what the numbers are, you buy one of these for $2.50 per can. So this makes this around about $1.15 per 100 grams. Now the gas in this, you normally would buy a 230 for around about $7. So you're actually buying the gas at this for around about $3 per 100 grams. So $1, $3. So this system is actually going to save you about 1/3 of your money. Now that may not mean anything to you for the inconvenience. It does make for a good video. When this is full, this should come up to around about 380 grams. I like to give it a bit of a shake. Now I actually don't have a lot of partially empty containers and canisters around because I did a video around about 6 months ago and stuck that up on my Instagram. I'll put the link there. It's a lot quicker than what I'm demonstrating here as a full video. Okay, so that's kind of finished. So once again, we turn the valve off. And I want to measure or weigh the 230 gram canister. And as I say, if this is full, it's going to come up to around about 380. So this is now bang on 382 grams. So that's full. So that's another great gas canister that I can take when I'm using this stove set. Ordinarily, this works out at around about $2.20 per 100 grams. This still works out at about $1.15, so this is still half the price of the gas in here. So I'm going to use that canister to fill up this one. I'll just chill that down a bit and I'll just heat this up a little. Now the reason I'm wanting to fill that can up is because at our batch I used this stove and a mocha pot. I really love my coffee. I very seldom actually hike with a 450 gram gas canister. It would have to be a massive multi-day now, wouldn't it? This stove is the only one of the stoves that I have that I could almost effectively connect to one of these bayonets. I would need to have that bayonet adapter onto here and then the can this can sitting on its side. When a 450 is empty, it should be at 220. So this is currently sitting at 221. So this is almost dead empty. So let's fill that up now using another 220 gram bayonet. So in theory, if there's 220 grams in there, and this is a 450, you'd require 2 of these bayonet containers to fill up one of those. Now don't forget, 2 of these is $5 if you're to buy it, and if you buy one of these, that's around about $10. So this is around about half the price. Yes, there's a whole lot of shagging around, but hey, kind of makes for a good video. Well, I think so anyway. It's a lot easier if you just simply leave the adapter on and just plug this straight in. So you can see the in and the out, and this is the little adapter to a bayonet and screw. It's pretty easy really, isn't it? A FlipFuel will cost you around about $6. So one of these fills is probably paying for one of those. A little bit there, so if this is about 114, it's empty, 126. And the fill rate of this is supposed to be around about 670, 654. So that's pretty full. So what have we learnt? That you're paying around about $2.50 for a 220 gram bayonet, and it takes 2 of those to fill up one of those, and one of those would normally sell for around about $10. You do the maths, 2 of those at 5, 1 of those at 10, that's half the price. You'll buy one of these at around about $7 to $8, so that's going to be around about a third of the price if you're using that. And these puppies, well, particularly mine, because I get Jetboil, I pay anything between $8 to $12 for this. So if you're buying, if one of those fills up one of those, then that's $1.15 as opposed to $8. It's an absolute no-brainer. And all you have to do is buy a $6 FlipFuel, not from me, I'm not selling these things, and the bayonet to screw adapter. Right, so that just leaves one more thing for me to do. I might as well use up the last of the gas. Oof. All that caffeine goodness. I hope you've enjoyed watching this. That's Outdoorsman Dave. I'm an outdoor educator in New Zealand. My genre is normally hiking and camping and a little bit of gear review. But the purpose of the channel is to inspire you to get out there and try using some of this gear, and in the places that I go and the conditions that I go yourself. The purpose of the channel is not to freak you out and be doing things like camping in a blizzard or in a storm, things that are probably a bit irresponsible for me to try to encourage you to go off and do. Unless of course I was out there showing you how to survive that. But yeah, the Outdoorsman channel, well, I just hope that as a result of what I do, I might inspire you to get out there and repeat that as well. So, thank you so much for watching. Look, if you haven't done so already, then please hit that like, hit that subscribe, and feel free to write a comment, and you can be sure that I'll respond back to you, if it's a positive comment that is. And well, the next video up is probably going to be the great walk called Lake Waikeamoana. Thank you so much. I hope you've learned something now.